don't have enough tests today.
They're testing 10,000 a day in some countries, and we can't get this off the ground.
No, I don't take responsibility at all. The testing has been amazing, actually. We're prepared, and we're doing a great job with it, and it will go away. Just stay calm, it will go away. I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. It's absolutely critical for the American people to follow the guidelines for the next 30 days. It's a matter of life and death, frankly. It's a matter of life and death. With the flu, on average, we lose from 26,000 to 78,000 people a year, even more than that in some cases, some years. We haven't lost anybody yet. If we can hold that down, as we're saying, to 100,000, it's a horrible number. Maybe even less, but to 100,000. So we have between 100 and 200,000. We all together have done a very good job. But the Democrat policy of open borders is a direct threat to the health and well-being of all Americans. Now, you see it with the coronavirus. You see it. You see it with the coronavirus. We must put politics aside, stop the partisanship, and unify together as one nation and one family. Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, but they think August, could be July, could be longer than that.
We're considering a national emergency declaration that would allow states and local governments to cap FEMA.
I don't think you'll need that because I really think we're in extremely good shape. Today I am officially declaring a national emergency. 2 very big words. When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero, that's a pretty good job we've done. I've been watching them bring in trailer trucks, freezer trucks. They're freezer trucks because they can't handle the bodies. There's so many of them. We have done an incredible job. We're going to continue. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. People were saying, well, let's just write it out. This is not to be written out, because then you would have been looking at potentially 2.2 million people or more. 2.2 million people in a relatively short period of time.
CDC said yesterday that they believe it's inevitable that the virus will spread in the United States, and it's not a question of if, but when. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't think it's inevitable. It probably will. It possibly will. The modeling estimates that the peak in death rate is likely to hit in 2 weeks. So, I'll say it again. The peak, the highest point of death rates, remember this, is likely to hit in 2 weeks. We'll have tremendous rallies, and we're doing very well, and we've done a fantastic job with respect to that subject on the virus. We have a big one in Tampa, all sold out. We have over 100,000 requests for tickets, but I think we'll probably not do it because people would say it's better to not do. Spoke to the White House doctor, terrific guy, talented guy. He said he sees no reason to do it. There's no symptoms, no anything. I also took the test last night, and I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking, did I take the test? But anybody that needs a test can have a test. They're all set. If your doctor doesn't think you need it, don't get the test. Don't get the test. I think that's very important. Not everybody should run out and get the test.
Dr. Fauci said earlier this week that the lag in testing was in fact a failing. Do you take responsibility for that? And when can you guarantee that every single American who needs a test will be able to have a test? What's the date of that?
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all. We have now tested with the best test far more than anybody else. When I say anybody else, I'm talking about other countries. No country is even close. Late last night, I had a very good talk with President Xi, and we talked mostly about the coronavirus. They're working really hard, and I think they're doing a very professional job. But I'm a little upset with China, I'll be honest with you, because as much as I like President Xi and as much as I respect the country, and they should have told us about this. UK basically has been, it's got the border, it's got very strong borders. And they're doing a very good job. They don't have very much infection at this point, and hopefully they'll keep it that way. All of a sudden they went hard the other way because they started seeing things that weren't good. So they were, put themselves in a little bit of a problem. Now, Boris tested positive, and I hope he's going to be fine. You know, a lot of people are staying here, and they're going to be doing their business here. They're going to be traveling here, and they'll be going to resorts here. Avoid gathering in groups of more than 10 people. Avoid discretionary travel, and avoid eating and drinking at bars, restaurants, and public food courts. And 61% of the voters approve of Trump's handling of the coronavirus. Number one on Facebook. Did you know I was number one on Facebook? And I just found out I'm number one on Facebook. I thought that was very nice. And this is their new hoax. But you know, we did something that's been pretty amazing. We're 15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. I want to remind everyone here in our nation's capital, especially in Congress, that this is not the time for politics, endless partisan investigations. Here we go again. We have a situation with the virus. We've done a great job. The press won't give us credit for it. I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead. I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people.
What do you say to Americans who are upset with you over the way you downplayed this crisis over the last couple of months? We have it very much under control in this country. The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. It's going to disappear. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. March 4th, we have a very small number of people in this country infected. March 10th, we're prepared. We're doing a great job with it. It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. What do you say to Americans who believe that you got this wrong?
And I do want them to stay calm. And I do want them to stay calm. And we are doing a great job. If you look at those individual statements, they're all true. Stay calm. It will go away. You know it is going away, and it will go away. And we're going to have a great victory. And it's people like you and CNN that say things like that. It's why people just don't want to listen to CNN anymore. You could ask a normal question. The statements I made are, I want to keep the country calm. I don't want panic in the country. I could cause panic much better than even you. I would make you look like a minor league player. But you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to have our country be calm and strong and fight and win. And it will go away. And it is incredible, the job that all of these people are doing, putting them all together, the job that they're doing. I am very proud of the job they're doing, that Mike Pence is doing, that the task force has done, that Honeywell and Procter & Gamble and Mike and all of these people have done. I'm very proud. It's almost a miracle, and it is, the way it's all come together. And instead of asking a nasty, snarky question like that, you should ask a real question. And other than that, I'm going to go to somebody else. Please, go ahead, Chris.
James Carville made the argument over the weekend that Senator Sanders isn't a Democrat, he's an ideologue. And we've got to get practical. If he is the candidate, he is not going to be able to help win over the Senate. And unless you have the Senate, if you've just got the White House, you ain't going to get nothing done.
Stephanie, does practical mean that the 89 or so million people who are uninsured or underinsured in this country continue to suffer? Does being practical mean that we don't take steps in this country to deal with climate chaos and bring world leaders to bear? Does being practical mean that we continue to prop up a legal system that is unjust in every stretch of the imagination, that bears its weight down on black men and black women, and then by extension, if you are Hispanic or indigenous or poor? Does being practical mean that we don't say to the American people that you deserve better than what you are getting? That's not the kind of practicality we want. Does practical mean that you hold fundraisers and wine caves with Swarovski crystals with billionaires who want to control this system? Does practical mean we continue to go with the status quo while 500,000 people sleep on the streets at night? That's not practicality. So with all due respect to Mr. Carville, what the American people in this country need, they need somebody that is unabashed and that has the courage and the conviction to stand up for them and to call out the rigging of this system. And that candidate is Senator Bernie Sanders.
But steps and a revolution are two different things. In order to get to a revolution, you've got to take steps. And what James Carville is saying is you've got to get to a practical place to make those changes.
Stephanie, the elites in 1930 said the same thing about FDR. And he said, I welcome your hatred. These are the same people that if the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was still alive, when he stood up before he was gunned down and he said to this country, he said the evils of this country, militarism, materialism, poverty, and racism. Those are those same people. So now if President FDR had listened to those people, or if the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King had listened to those people, we would not progress as a nation. So every generation we got the naysayers, baby. But what the folks of this country need, they need somebody that's going to stand up for them. Senator Sanders is known as the Amendment King. He knows how to get things done. But what people need is to be able to call upon somebody that's not going to capitulate.
Senator Sanders' supporters, what is their #1 goal? Is it to start this revolution, or is it to defeat Donald Trump? And I ask because there's often a lot of talk around, will those supporters get behind another candidate if it's not Senator Sanders?
Stephanie, why can't we have both? You know, that same argument was made in 2016.
And a lot of those people didn't vote for
However, though,
Clinton.
Stephanie, more of Senator Sanders' supporters supported Secretary Hillary Clinton than her supporters supported then Senator Barack Obama. So let's set the record straight. People do want to defeat President Donald Trump, but they also want to know that they're going to have a fighter in the White House that's going to take it all the way, that's going to go ham on this system that has oppressed them. And so I reject, and so do the American people, the whole notion that you cannot say to a system that it must change and also push a dream and a vision that is bigger than what we have right now. Who wants somebody that's saying to the workaday people of this nation, I'm going to run for office, but you're only going to get more of the same? That doesn't work. We're going to win this stuff.
Financial ties, domestic violence, hush money payment,
conspiracy and tax charges, illegal payments, conflict of interest,
congratulating Putin,
lying to the FBI.
We are going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
Day one of the Trump administration saw his press secretary lying about crowd size.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Prices to join President Donald Trump's Palm Beach resort have doubled since his White House win.
14 months into the Trump administration and already 6 cabinet members under scrutiny for misusing taxpayer money.
The head of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention steps down. She resigned due to her complex financial interest.
The Secretary of Health and Human Services is out. It comes after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of your money on luxury jets.
Spending more than $12,000 on a single flight. questions about an unusual request to use a military jet for his European honeymoon.
$31,000 on a new dining room set for Secretary Carson's office.
David Shulkin using taxpayer money to fly his wife to Europe.
$139,000 spent on new doors.
More than $105,000 on first-class flights. 8 separate trips on military aircraft at a total of nearly $1 million.
Conway broke the rules, promoting the fashion line owned by President Trump's oldest daughter.
I'm going to give a free commercial here. Go buy it today, everybody. You can find it online.
President Donald Trump has removed Anthony Scaramucci as communications director.
This was a jaw-dropper. It was a profanity-laced tirade.
The most disgusting thing he said, I'm not Steve Bannon. I'm not going to
suck my own.
Michael Flynn forced to resign for not telling the truth about his contacts with the Russian ambassador.
Paul Manafort, former Trump campaign chairman, is now a criminal defendant.
Manafort and his protege Gates indicted by federal grand jury on 12 counts.
30-year-old George Papadopoulos worked with suspected Russian agents and then denied it to the FBI.
And I did not have communications with the Russians.
Jeff Sessions, in fact, met twice with the Russian ambassador to the United States.
And my staff recommended recusal.
2 of Rob Porter's ex-wives accused him of abuse.
A lawyer for President Trump arranged a hefty payment to an adult film star.
We need to get the best and the finest, and if we don't, we'll be in trouble for a long period of time, and maybe never come out of it.
Just found out Obama had my quote-unquote wires tapped.
The president informed Comey that he's been terminated. President Trump, it says, acted based on the clear recommendations of both the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, as well as the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not.
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey.
President Trump shared highly classified intelligence with Russian diplomats.
A June 26 meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer.
Ivanka Trump once again faces questions about whether she is personally profiting from her White House role. The Chinese government granted her company 3 new trademarks on April 6th. Hours later, she dined with the Chinese president at her father's Mar-a-Lago resort.
Ivanka Trump using a personal email account for government work, and her husband, Jared Kushner, using a private email account for government business for months this year.
Federal prosecutors are investigating the family business of the president's son-in-law.
Jared Kushner has revealed he inadvertently omitted 77 assets from his personal financial disclosure form.
And Kushner's alleged plan to set up back-channel communications with the Russian government.
Jared Kushner is coming under scrutiny again for not revealing again that a Russian banker and Putin ally who's been linked to organized crime reached out to the Trump campaign.
Jared Kushner has had his security clearance significantly downgraded.
He failed to disclose ties to a firm linked with top Russian oligarchs.
Carl Icahn, former advisor and close friend of the president. He saved himself $6 million.
He has visited one of his golf courses 87 times as president.
New report of an alleged affair between a Playboy playmate and Donald Trump.
Forbes is reporting that Donald Trump actually shifted some of that charity money into his business.
We are going to drain the swamp.
I care about standing up in the face of adversity, delivering the truth, and making sure that American politics actually reflect the will of the American people.
I care deeply about having a working democracy in America.
About everyone's right to health care and education.
Getting big money out of politics.
Education should be an absolute right and not a privilege.
About the corruption in the top 1% owning as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
About everyone having equal rights.
About the catastrophic effects that climate change is already having on our planet.
About the environment.
About clean water.
About the death penalty. That Guantanamo Bay be shut down.
About my country's health care.
Equal rights for women.
Issues that affect women.
About reforming the justice system.
About supporting Native American sovereignty and tribal jurisdiction.
About someone having a consistent moral position.
He voted against the war in Iraq.
He's the only Democratic candidate against fracking.
He has been a badass and supporting the LGBT community.
He doesn't take money from super PACs.
He's the candidate who's calling for a political revolution in the United States of America.
Hi, I'm Rosario Dawson.
I'm Susan.
I'm Alan.
Gabby Hoffman.
Kristen Wiig.
Amanda Palmer.
Harry Belafonte.
Kendrick Sampson.
Shailene Woodley.
Graham Nash.
Justin Long.
Eliza Dushku.
Miley Cyrus.
Connor Powell. Zoe.
Sean. Damien.
Charlotte.
Michael. Josh Fox. And I support Bernie Sanders for president.
I very proudly support Bernie Sanders.
I am an adamant supporter of Bernie Sanders.
I support Bernie Sanders.
And I support
Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie.
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 I support Bernie Sanders.
I basically do whatever my dog tells me to do.